G'day, Reese here from Fluid Movement Coaching, and today we're going to go through how to move out of back pain and the process that I go through with my clients. Now, I do have a system called the Fluid Movement System, which I'll get into in a moment, but this will also give you a bit of a general idea of how to fix your own back pain if that's the case. A lot of back pain information out there is very generic, and what I've seen is there's a saying that I've learnt, and it's basically a little bit of information can be dangerous because a little bit of information, you're not getting the full picture, and people try and heal their back pain, not actually understanding what they're doing. They think a couple of basic exercises will fix it. If you've had back pain for decades, you've got to allow a long time, about a month to 2 months per year you've been in pain to actually heal it properly. It doesn't mean that you can't get out of pain sooner, but it just means that you need to be consistent with the work. So types of back pain that I see pretty much daily are things like disc herniations, sciatica, which is usually from disc herniations or spinal stenosis, and that leads into spinal stenosis. And then different types of spondy, so spondylolysis, spondylolisthesis, bone spurs, muscle strains, and facet joint pain. So they're just a few. I see a lot of other different things. Spinal torsions. I see things like scoliosis, functional and structural. So there's a number of things that can go on. The fluid movement system that moves people out of pain for good is basically a 4-step process, and it's an acronym called ATME. So it's assess, tailor, monitor, and educate. And simply put, I do assessments with people to find out exactly what's going on with their body, and that takes into account all their past injuries and pain and trauma. It takes into account all range of motion, takes into account orthopedic assessments, infant development, core and posture, primal patterns. So there's a lot that goes into it. My assessments can take up to 3 hours, but that gives me a really good picture of what's going on. So I can really help the individual at a really personal level. And that takes us into tailor. So tailoring programs is what is missing, especially from a holistic health perspective. What's missing is the individualized programs. I see a lot of general corrective exercise programs which work the wrong muscle fibers. So what we do in the tailoring part is I understand what muscles are too tight, what are too weak, where there's instability, where we need more mobility. So once I understand all that, I build the corrective exercises specific to your needs, and I use an app as well so people can follow along daily at home, and that they're given their specific equipment so they can do it all at home. And then over the weeks that people work with me, I monitor them, and basically we monitor progress from looking at, we compare it to the initial assessments, and wherever there's improvements, we'll keep going with that. And if there's not, we will review. And these programs are dynamic. So just because I write one program doesn't mean it's going to be something that you do forever. It's more, let's see how you're going. If you're going well, we can change stuff to make it more advanced. Or if we need to descend an exercise or change the exercise, we'll do that as well. And a big part of healing comes from education. So that little bit of information no longer will stand, because you get taught how to actually look after yourself and the reasons why, how to activate muscles properly, how to basically, beyond working with me, how to look after yourself. And that's a big part of the fluid movement system. So moving past the fluid movement system, it really comes back down to getting back to foundational stuff, looking at the imbalances and seeing what muscles are tight and improving that flexibility. So what you do is you work flexibility first. When we start to loosen off those tight muscles, we can then start to work on stability. Now that usually happens hand in hand. For instance, if you have, just say you have back pain and you feel like you get a lot of spasms in the lower back, that can be the lumbar erectors holding on. And their job isn't to hold you in place or hold the spine in place. Their job is to lift. So it's only for short periods of time. And the reason that they're in spasm is because they're trying to do the job of the deep core muscles, especially of the inner unit, which they're not supposed to do that. So what we're trying to do is create stability by activating the right muscles. And I've done another video on the inner unit and core stability, so that would be a good one to have a look at as well. So flexibility, stability, and then what we do is we work on core and posture. So if you can work on your core and posture, and you're activating the right muscle fibers, so the deep core muscle fibers, which are basically, I call them postural or type 1 muscle fibers, then we're going to create spinal stability. Core and posture has really got to do with holding positions, the correct positions for time under tension of about 3 to 5 minutes. And it's also about utilising diaphragmatic breathing, pelvic floor engagement, transverse abdominis engagement, and really understanding how your posture affects the body and how your breathing affects your body. So that's the first step. Now, that step there can be the most challenging as well, because a lot of people have dysfunctional breathing patterns. A lot of people have lower back pain and dysfunctional core. So that's often the most challenging step. But then once we see that being activated and people are moving out of pain, we then move into the functional movement. And functional movement is basically all your primal patterns. So the squat, bend, lunge, push, pull, twist, and gait. And in the functional movement stage, you're now integrating core and posture into making sure that you're moving your body right. And when you're moving your body with functional movement patterns, is the core still activating? Is the posture still holding? This is a very important stage, because this is the transition between doing your core and posture movements and then getting into strength and conditioning. So functional movement is a very important step. It's a very important, but it's overlooked, and that's what I do is I really focus on making sure that core and posture is activated, because if you've got correct core engagement, you're going to get really good force transfer from the feet through the body, through the core to the arms. So if you're doing like a throw, you're getting the force from the foot all the way to the hand without the core failing or without the core compensating. So, and then we move into sort of the strength and conditioning. I was going to say the final stage, but we can also move into explosive work as well. But we put it under one umbrella called strength and conditioning. So this is where you get to sport-specific training. So if you sit at a desk all day, then you need specific exercises to be able to counter sitting all day. So you want to make sure you're doing hamstring work. You want to make sure you've still got good core activation. You're working your back muscles through back extension and different types of exercises. So depending on the individual, depend on what those exercises are, but you've got to make sure that whatever you're doing, you're either supporting what you're doing or you're countering what you're doing. So by supporting, if you're a rugby league player, you want to be making sure your strength and conditioning mimics or is replicated in the gym, and having the right exercises that replicates what you do on the field is what you do in the gym, and what you do in the gym is what you do on the field. But then if you are, like I said, if you are sitting at a desk all day, then the countering is actually activating the muscles and getting the muscles that are usually weak from sitting, getting them activated and strong regularly. And then what you find is pretty much from about the core and posture, once that starts happening and starts activating, you find that you move out of pain. And when you go through these steps, this is how you get long-term strength and staying out of pain. Again, if you come back to the fluid movement system, you look at educate. You got to educate yourself on all this stuff, and that's what I do with clients is I help them understand their body so they have a better connection to them and to themselves, and then they're able to do whatever activities they want to do and stay out of pain. And that's the goal with any of this. So I hope this has helped. I hope this moves you more into the direction of looking at more of a holistic approach. Um, I'm a Czech practitioner, so if you don't know what that is, go look that up. The Czech Institute. It's a holistic. I'm a holistic rehab specialist, so I look at everything basically and help people move out of pain for good. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Otherwise, reach out if you would like to learn more.